Tuesday, October 21st, 2025 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. And pursuant to the amendment of Bill H 3548 and Governor Healy signing such amendment into law in March of 2023, expressing certain provisions of the open meeting law, this public meeting of the Town of Bolton Conservation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but the public can access this meeting while in progress by Zoom Video Communications, Inc. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by telephone, cell phone, or personal computer using Zoom. Some guidelines for participants: please utilize the chat or raise hand function to address the board. Participants will remain on mute until they have been addressed by the board, and participants are required to display first and last names. All of that said, by tradition, we'll start with a roll call of present member. Present members. I am Brian Barabee.
Paul Brian Wolt.
Sumitra.
Sorry, Sumitra.
Excellent. All right. First up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing for a request for an amendment to an order of conditions for 711/713 Main Street. Lauren, is the applicant or rep for the applicant here tonight?
Yes, Tim Hess is here.
Hey, Tim, how are you?
Doing well, Mr. Chair. Thanks for having us back.
Okay. So actually, should have done this prior to opening that, but we need to, and for commission members, as a matter of housekeeping, we need to actually vote on if we'll waive the filing fee for the amended order of conditions. We had discussed this via email, possibly doing that in this case, and it was decided to encourage the applicant to go ahead and submit, and that we would have this vote this evening. So I'm hoping we will all be voting to waive the filing fee for the request for an amendment to the order of conditions for 711/713 Main Street. Does that make sense? Do people remember this conversation?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna call for a roll call vote that the commission waive the filing fee for the request for an amendment to the order of conditions for 711/713 Main Street. All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Sue.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Tim, do you want to walk us through basic? Well, I was going to say, I don't know if you want to share the actual plans.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll try to do it quick and then we can circle back for questions if that makes sense to you all.
It does, please.
Great. Okay, we seeing this?
Yes, I am.
All right. So let me first just back up. This is the plan per our
Oops,
I think we lost him.
I think we lost your audio, Tim. I'm sorry. I think we're still not hearing you, unfortunately. Still not getting you. I'm so sorry.
shoot. There?
Oh,
There
there.
we go.
Okay. Sorry, I've got a first day with the new headset. There's a volume button that I bumped against my desk. My apologies.
We've all been there. Yeah, at least I know I have.
Appreciate your patience. So up on the screen should be the landscape plan as it was included with our NOI request or application, which was approved about 24 months back, give or take a month or two. And I'll just quickly flash also the septic associated with that same application in the same order of conditions. So from that, I'm going to share this, and we've got highlighted the several areas of adjustment for which we are seeking some permission tonight. So if you can read let me zoom in a little bit more and get these numbers up. So I'll circle my cursor around the adjustment number 1. What we're proposing here is a semi-pervious wooden deck that would be positioned just above the access manhole covers for the distribution box and pump chamber from the septic system. The reason for this request is that there are a couple of aspects of the septic system's characteristics and details about which I was insufficiently aware when we, 2 years ago. In my limited experience with new septic systems, we have always been able to bury the access hatches and manhole covers under some minimal bit of earth cover, typically 6 to 12 inches. And I had incorrectly understood that we would be able to do that in this case. This system is a little bit unlike others I've used in the past, and that's not a possibility. So the manhole covers, of which there are 4, 5, all need to be exposed, or I should say, very readily accessible. So there's a small one here, which we're proposing to just leave exposed as is. The 2 that you can see kind of peeking out from behind the tag, and 2 more you can see peeking out behind that tag. We're proposing that rather than expose those within our landscaped area, we cover them with a raised deck. And I say raised, it would be something like 12 or 16 inches above finished grade there, but have a panelized decking system so that the panel can be removed and probably a 3x3 or perhaps a 4-foot by 4-foot section to provide direct and easy access to those manhole covers. A quick illustration of the intended finished appearance of these things. These would be a black locust material like we've got elsewhere on site, and would be gapped some small distance, like 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 between the boards to allow some recharge in between. As you can see, the pump chamber and distribution box here, we're sort of threading the needle and carefully tiptoeing around those. And what we're representing in my cursor here is a thing you may have heard of. It's called a helical pile, and it's a foundation option that's become relatively common in recent years, and it's really allows for a very minimal degree of kind of invasion, and it really doesn't require this. This comprises the foundation, and then a quick cut sheet for the product for any on the commission that may not be familiar. So that's number 1. I'll move on to number 2. Off, if you can follow my cursor here, this is a proposed porch addition off of the west flank of the barn. You may recall that a couple of years ago we had proposed and had conceived of a bridge that would span from the barn over to this kind of larger boardwalk and porch. And you'll recall this was all on town property. And although I still like to imagine that there may be a day in which we'd come back and pursue those are no longer in the scope of this project at the current moment. It does create the absence of this bridge creates for us a little trouble with the barn, because as a mixed use building, we're required by code to have two means of egress. And a single means will get us out to the courtyard. And without the bridge there, we need some way to replace that. So what we're proposing is a relatively small, this is about 6 feet projecting east to west and about 12 feet north to south porch, and that is cantilevered, which is to say, I think you'll all recall the barn is built, we've got 12 new piers down there, and straddling the piers, there are 4 pretty large, deep steel beams. And those beams run north to south, and they're deep enough to sort of accept the geometry, just the physical dimension of another piece of steel that would cross them from beneath, so that the porch itself does not touch the resource area. It certainly is above it, but it doesn't touch down to the ground. There's no foundation at all under it. And then our egress path would continue from that porch down a wooden set of stairs that would touch down, probably on just a little bit of gravel to keep it stable there. And then a wood chip path would provide egress out toward the common. So that's all of number 2. Number 3 is a complicated one. This is the courtyard, has to do with the courtyard materials, the finished material visible in the courtyard. You'll recall that what was represented here 2 years ago was a pervious stone. We probably described it as a pea gravel or some other kind of similar material, and described that there would be recharge and infiltration through that material. We have since learned that that's not going to be possible for a couple reasons that I'll try to explain. We had developed a detail for that material in conjunction with our civil engineers, and the vertical dimension of material necessary to make that possible pushed the top surface above the top of the foundations on both adjacent buildings. The septic system, because of the presence of the resource area and the presence of the stream there, is a little bit higher than it might otherwise have been, and that's a necessity for its operation in relation to the resource area. So there, for one reason, we didn't have the vertical dimension to do it. The second reason is that as the septic engineer explained to me, he reminded me that our NOI did include waivers of a number of minimum distance requirements. In this particular kit, we're closer to foundations than is typical. We're closer to the well than is typical. We're closer to the river than is typical. That proximity to the river sort of amplifies the at least hypothetical risk that the minimum distance exists to protect the resource from any potential leaching beyond the defined leaching area, and any infiltration of stormwater through the leaching beds would amplify and accelerate the leaching. And to do either of those things so close to the river and resource area seems like a bad idea. And the third thing is that when this system, when the septic system was designed, and our civil same firm and same engineer that designed the septic system also did the stormwater calculations, which were a component and comprised really dozens of pages. I think it's like 60 or 80 pages of the application. They actually ran the calcs counting that whole courtyard as impervious, and with no absorption there, and with all of that as impervious, that all passed. And so it met the requirements So in the sense, I mean, as I explained it to Lauren when she and I met back in August, our original application included, a pair of contradictory things that couldn't both be true. We said both that it's impervious and that it's pervious. So so that's item number 3. Item 4 and 5 are the addition, or I think 5 might be new altogether. 4 is really more a reconfiguration. We had some narrow planting beds proposed along the west side of the courtyard, and we did not include any on the east side a couple years ago, and we're proposing now to get a little bit of planting bed in the space between that porch, the kind of west porch at 7-Eleven and the south porch at 7-Eleven. And this bed gets a little bit wider, and it gets interrupted a time or two, whereas previously it was interrupted just once. So that's 4 and 5. 6 is the reconstruction of a stair. You may recall there had been a stair that projected out from an upper level porch here out over the resource area. It had a switchback over the stream and came back, and Commissioner Savageau recommended that be pulled down. He found that it was a hazard. So that's been removed some time back, and the new stair that we're proposing here was not represented in the earlier plan. 7 is a little bit related. I'll show you here. This, in the area between the kind of rear, this is a rear tenant space and a forward tenant space in building number 713. There was a bulkhead, a kind of access, outdoor access from courtyard down to the basement underneath the building. There was some repair work done to that foundation and needed for the bulkhead. And we incorporated a stair into a shed area, partly to make the stair safer, partly to just try to absorb it into a more attractive kind of relationship to the building. So that functionality has been absorbed into a bump out here. So the stair is there, and there's a small sort of think of it as a shed, like there'll be, a snow blower and that kind of thing in there. And then 8, last but not least, back in 2023, we had developed in this narrow strip of land between the sidewalk and the front porch at 7-Eleven, we had a relatively tall granite planter that was meant to be a kind of sculptural low wall that would plant some plant material in it. And we're proposing now to remove that granite material and simply use the full breadth of that for an inkberry holly, which is the species that we've got kind of commonly around the front. So I think that's all of our 8 items here. And I gather, Mr. Chair, that we've got another thing to discuss, but it seems like you don't want to put that in this agenda item. Is that right?
I think so. If it's not in this one, yeah, then I don't think we would get into it.
It's this area back here, the remediation of the knotweed.
Yep.
Is that right? We'll leave that off for now.
I don't think it was not on tonight's agenda, so I think I'm trying to say it's not, we don't have it later on the agenda either, do we?
Oh,
Well,
we do
you've got
have
it-
it later
you've
in the
got it.
agenda.
It's in under what do you call it?
The enforcement orders.
Enforcement orders. Yeah.
Oh, there. All right.
Um,
All right.
However, we did, so
Restoration.
Tim had sent me the revised restoration, or sorry, Josh from his team had sent me the revised restoration plan earlier this afternoon.
That's
Typically, we ask for all new materials to be received the Thursday before a Conservation Commission meeting to give time to the commissioners to
Yeah.
review new material.
it's in our bylaw, so I believe as to how, like, when we need to get that material by, and that's why I was a bit confused. Tim, I had marked that off for tonight because I had seen that we hadn't gotten the methods of removal, the whole parking plan, and then if it came in today, I'm not going to read it when I get home from work to get ready for the meeting. That's why it's 5 days in advance. You know, we all have lives. I'm sorry.
Yep. No,
So we will not be taking that up tonight.
understood. We
That's
don't
gonna
mean to
have to wait
strain
till our
that.
next meeting.
Understood. It's not
All
our
right.
intent to strain that.
No, it's fine. I was confused myself. I'm like, wait, wasn't there something? Why wasn't there? Okay, everything's fine. Okay, all right. Could we pull up that planning? All right, beautiful. I guess I'll start with my initial questions. Did you submit this plan to DEP, the amended order of conditions, or
I
the
believe
request?
I believe we did. Yes.
Okay, have you heard back from them yet?
I don't think so.
Because I don't know that we've heard anything, and I don't think we've received anything from you stating that you did, or any proof that it was submitted to DEP. If you can send us any kind of copies of those emails that it was submitted,
Okay.
because this just for the size and scope of this and the fact that it's riverfront, this is another one we're definitely going to wait until we hear from DEP on this one. Well, I mean, I'll put it out to other commission members, but I know I'm not comfortable voting on it until I hear from DEP. But just some initial questions. Do we have the upgraded square footage of resource area basically that's being disturbed, or alteration to resource area with the I know with that, like, number 2 proposed, number 1? I'm just trying. It seems like we need a new square footage calculation. And I don't think I've seen one, but I just could not. Maybe I just did not see it when I was trying to look through all of these.
I don't think we've provided that.
Okay, so this we'll probably continue anyways. But a total square footage of disturbed area.
Okay.
Let's see, talking about number 2. I know you said it goes to a wood chip path. Would probably want to see like a maintenance plan for that. What the upkeep's going to look like that on, how often it gets filled, if it gets raked back in, if it gets kicked off to the side. Generally some sort of operation maintenance plan. I'm trying to think what I was trying to jump to. Oh, what do you know? So for the now per the impervious surface over the septic area, what's the use of that going to be? That area going to be? Is there going to be parking in there, deliveries?
Yeah, there will probably be deliveries in there. There may be a handicap parking space in there. There will not be kind of any conventional parking anticipated there. It's meant primarily to be a kind of social outdoor room
Area.
for the
All right,
for
I
the
just
use
was
of the
trying-
tenant spaces.
So it's gonna require. I'm trying to think if the load required over the septic for the use will change. If it was just going to be tables and civilian traffic, it's not required as harshly as if it was going to be delivery trucks going over it, or parking areas, which I think was one of the original intents, was not to have that as a driving or parking area, and now it's kind of magically become one. What's done is done to an extent, but I was curious if there were going to be some limitations onto what could be done there to make sure no cars could go up there.
Well, the septic system is rated to physically handle the load of
Right.
cars.
Right. And I'm not sure why that was. Again, it was supposed to be a pervious surface, but it was also supposed to be no vehicles, no parking, no delivery truck that's drip, drip, drip leaking oil or anything like that. It was supposed to be so we wouldn't get cars up there. and again, I recognize that it's in already now, but any thought to adding something within the order of conditions that no parking or driving on this area allowed? I mean, I guess, it's convenient for delivery trucks, but it just strikes me that it was an oopsie that seems very convenient to like how I think the original plan wanted to go here, paving this area. That's one thing with this. It's a hard, again, that was a big switch from what was agreed to in looking for in this amended order. And I'm just not sure if that it just really throws me. And I appreciate some of the regreening you're doing, especially like 5, 6. You did expand some of those. There's a lot of beneficial things you've put in. But that's what I'm curious what DEP has to say for that. And again, I'm curious what the total restoration or total disturbed area of riverfront area is, because I think you're really switching a lot of our calculations. But that's my initial thoughts, comments, and questions. But let me open it up to commission members. Any commission members have any thoughts, comments, or questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. Can I share my screen?
Please.
Do I have to unshare mine, maybe?
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
believe so, Tim. Thank you.
How's that?
Okay. Can you guys see my screen? This is the,
Not yet, Jim. Or I
Oh.
can't.
can anyone see it? Try.
Not yet.
No.
There, maybe.
I'm viewing Jim Garrity's screen.
Are you seeing the photos from the site visit that Lauren took?
Yes.
Okay. So Tim, couple questions. I believe right here where my cursor is, this is the tubes or the pipes for the septic. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And this wall here is where I think where the driveway's on top of this, correct? Where my
It's
cursor is there?
the courtyard is up there. Yes.
Is okay. What is this pipe right here? That my cursor is on.
Yeah, I can see it. I don't know what that pipe is.
Okay, because this is Great Brook right here. So whatever's going through that pipe is going right into Great Brook.
In what sense is that Great Brook, Jim? None of our documentation shows the brook there.
Well, so where is the stream?
If you look at the first column, the pier from the barn, the nearest corner of the barn, it's
Okay.
immediately on the other side of that, or the wall. It's the stream bed is back kind of below the area where your cursor is.
Okay, so the stream is going from west to east, right?
That's right. Yep.
So I guess, so help me, I'm sorry. I'm a little confused here. So if I look right here, so where were those, it was over here then, okay.
So if
So
you
the-
take your cursor and just scoot to the left a little bit more,
Yeah,
a little bit more, a little bit more, you're in that wall.
okay. Oh, it's
That
right
little
here.
the PVC pipe you just pointed to in the previous
right here.
photograph comes out of that wall. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, good. So it's far away from the stream. Okay, good. Thank you. And what is
Yep.
this? What is this gray wall? I guess I'm going to call it a wall. Is this a wall here?
Yeah, that is the wall that we restored. That wall kind of comprises the south bank of the stream. That was you'll recall that the new barn is, whatever, a couple inches off from where the old barn was. The old barn was skewed, and that wall was a wall that you guys asked us to maintain and restore adjacent to the stream bed.
Okay, great. Thank
Yep.
you.
You're welcome.
Additional questions or comments from members of the commission?
I have a couple of questions on the number one, the wooden deck. What was
Yes.
what was the original plan for that space? Was it just to have grass or plantings or?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The original intent, if you can, I'll just zoom into that little rectangle.
You need to reshare your screen, Tim. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Appreciate the reminder. And how's that?
Okay.
So in that same area, the idea was a kind of sort of short mown, almost like a carpet of uh, short grass there. To the idea is to make a kind of very sort of carefully defined outdoor room surrounded by sort of meadow grasses. So, there'd be a kind of perfect rectangular little room here, a mown path to a little spot, a mown path to another spot, and then a kind of winding
Okay.
mown path back. Um,
So it was always intended to be used for some sort of seating area or park bench or something. So
that's right.
yes.
Yep.
Okay. So you're not building a deck because of the septic challenge you talked about.
Yeah, no, the deck is just proposed because we really don't want to see the manhole covers, and
Yeah, yeah.
we had believed we weren't going to have to.
I see. Yeah. So it's aesthetic and functional in a sense, both. Yeah.
I think that's fair
Okay.
to say, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to me it's the new calculations. I don't know if did we get any calculations on the changes on these new proposals versus the original to find out if it still is within what we originally approved?
I don't think we provided those calculations.
Because I think that's my biggest question is now that you have a paved surface in the courtyard versus pervious, and then you have this decking, etc. And multiple, how does that impact the overall measurements, calculations? That would be my question.
Additional questions or comments from members of the commission?
Sorry, I got one more, Tim. Back to the driveway again. So is it, I know just driving past it, it's got a slope to it, if you will. But is there a possibility that the water could run off and run back into the brook? Or is it all going to run down onto Main Street?
The stormwater calcs define that quite specifically, and I'm going to forget the terminology, but it's something like catchment area A and catchment area B. It's divided roughly in half. Half of it flows in the direction of Main Street. The other half flows to the north and east. And I don't think any of it's going to go directly into the stream, but it's going to go, toward the, well, I guess to answer that better, what I really ought to do is refer to those stormwater calcs. It's defined and calculated there, so I'll prepare to answer in a way that is in agreement with what's numerically represented there.
Okay, those are the calculations you're going to send us, right?
Well, so I'll do my best to send you anything you ask for, but my understanding is that the stormwater calcs won't change. That has to do with a given volume of water falling on the given area and where that goes, where it ends up. I don't think that's going to change. If it does, we'll give you those numbers.
Well, it has to, right? It has to by definition because you went from an impervious to a pervious surface.
That makes sense, except that when the civil engineer did the stormwater calcs, since he was the septic engineer, he understood the septic system better than I did. And when he did the stormwater calcs, he counted that whole courtyard as impervious.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep. And so in that sense, what I'm thinking is the whole disturbed area, we'll redo that, and that'll differ at least a little bit. The stormwater, I'll check with the civil. It might change. My sense is that's not going to change in a significant way.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Additional comments or questions? Seeing any right now. Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? I'm not seeing any. All right. So Tim, I appreciate you getting us those numbers, and again, if you can, if you want to send us your communications with DEP, or just let DEP know that we have not heard anything from them yet. Would really appreciate that as well. That said, I'm hoping you're okay continuing until our next hearing.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the request for an amendment to the order of conditions for 711/713 Main Street until our next public meeting, Tuesday, November 4th at 7:00 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Jim,
I,
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, and Lauren. We'll see you all on the 4th.
We'll see you then, Tim. Take care.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. All right. The Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to discuss a notice of intent filed for 443 Still River Road, DEP file number 112-764. All right. All right. Lauren, do you want to pull up the plans, or is the applicant here, or
Yeah.
rep the applicant here tonight?
Sure.
You just-
yeah,
Margaret. Yeah.
Yep, Margaret Bacon, Civil Site Engineering, and I'm here representing the Gears regarding the project down Still River Road. Do you want me to pull up the plan?
If you would, that would be great.
Sure. Can the commission see that okay?
Right now I just have there it is. It just popped up. Yes.
Okay, so this is a revised plan based on comments I got from the commission and Lauren for this project. And the changes included, I did go out there and I located, you'll see here to the right, the intermittent stream. I located the 30-foot no disturb zone. And then I revised the riverfront area, this blue line here, from 200 feet to 225 feet. I believe those were the
Yeah, to bring it up to the current bylaws. Yeah. If you want to
And
zoom
that-
in. And I should mention, members of the public, we did manage to conduct a site visit between our last hearing and this hearing, and get members of the commission out on site to take a look.
And then,
I-
yeah, and then to follow up too, the DEP finally did come back with comments, and they refer to, natural heritage's comments and lead. And Lauren should have copies of Natural Heritage's response. So basically, they're saying they want the same conditions on this project as they did when the house was built when it comes to protecting the turtle habitat.
Yeah, I'm reading, and then we should read it into any order of conditions.
Correct.
All right. I mean, I guess I can start. So it was difficult looking at this project, right? Because I know the house, I know it's all in resource area. And I know how it was originally conditioned to try to kind of put it in that one little central place. And now our bylaws have changed, and we're kind of beholden to our current bylaws as they stand. That intermittent stream off to the, I'm looking at the screen, the right side of the house is very wet area. It was extremely wet in the middle of a drought. Regardless of that, even if it is still an intermittent stream, and I'm not sure that that's the proper classification, because it looks like when we're not in drought, it's always going to be wet with at least standing water, if not moving water. And again, I'm not an expert. This is just going by the fact that it was extremely wet and muddy, significantly into a drought. But even going with it being an intermittent stream, and looking at our bylaws, this is really difficult to figure out if we can condition. The addition to the house, our bylaws, there shall be no increase to impervious surface in the aura, right? No net loss or no increase to impervious surface in the adjacent upland resource area. And we're allowed to mitigate this somewhat if there's a give back sometimes where, okay, we're going to get rid of this, but we're going to add here. The thing is that there's no, as I can tell, and I want to open it up to other commissioners and hear your thoughts too, but there's no real give back. And our new bylaws, the ones that have gone into practice since this house was first conditioned, clearly state that there can be no increase in impervious surface in the aura. It's very difficult to say that addition doesn't do that, and there's no real place for a give back. Now, sometimes we have some leeways with sheds because depending on what type of surface they're put on, you can get a pervious surface underneath. But I keep calling it the pool house, but the second structure there in which the pool will go in, I was looking to see thinking, all right, perhaps with some of that runoff mitigation you have, that would cover for some of that loss. But in even talking with our conservation agent, it really doesn't function that way. It would be an improvement to a certain extent, but we're still adding significant pervious square footage to the aura. And I'm not really sure how we can work. I'm not sure how we can follow our laws and get around all of that. I try to look for ways to mitigate. Sometimes there are special circumstances for houses that were built before the Wetlands Protection Act, or but we conditioned this one. This was post Wetlands Protection Act, and our bylaws are pretty clear about the amount of disturbance that they will allow. And
What are
I'm
your
not sure. I mean,
bylaws
that's kind of where I'm stuck on this one.
What are your
right now.
bylaws for like granny pods or whatever they call them? Because that would be my only other option, is to add some sewage, like dig up put like a whole entire little house there. Because that would be my only other option.
Yeah, and again,
So what are your laws for that?
I don't. If you would have to put a proposal in front of us for us to see what was jurisdictional and for us to discuss it, like what we have in front of us right now. And again, I've been trying to look at ways to say, all right, how can we mitigate this, or how can we kind of wedge this in? Is there something we can do? Is there a give back? And I'm not seeing it at all. But I'm one person, so I'm gonna open it up to questions from others. And try to get their thoughts too. But I guess that's where I'm kind of stuck.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I know after that site visit, I was talking to the applicant and looking for ways to mitigate on this property. There is a lot of invasives, and I don't know if you noticed it, especially along the driveway with bittersweet and I'm sure Marilyn, she can help me with some of the other invasive plants. Oh, and the autumn olive in the back, and eventually that stuff's just going to take right over. It's taken over now. I would think that would be a very beneficial mitigation plan. Especially, obviously, you'd have to get natural heritage approval again, but especially in the back where there's that turtle habitat, that's just being taken over with that autumn olive. And eventually that's just,
Yeah, well, again, we run into that where that's the natural heritage thing on this site, that it's hard for us to say to allow something like, I looked at that for mitigation as well as kind of like an ongoing invasive management. But then again, you're in endangered species habitat. It becomes more of a natural heritage thing. Who's doing the invasive species management? Are they trained? Are they doing it properly? Who's monitoring it? Who's managing it? It becomes something that I don't think we can condition, but I could be wrong. I'm happy to look more into that. But I think that's the road that one somewhat goes down, unfortunately.
Well, I think that if a mitigation plan was presented to the natural heritage, I basically, I think they would agree that eventually that turtle habitat is just being taken over with, invasive. So something really should be done before it becomes, not that beneficial.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything you do over there, you'd have to get their approval. So as far as mitigation, I don't know, what else comes to mind that we could do on this property. And Marilyn mentioned something, but we have to take a look at that,
It's difficult. And I was just jotting down notes on it for natural heritage that I think it's something that maybe we can reach out and see, is this how, have others done this in other places? How could we do this? What's the best way to condition something like this? Would they allow it? And just start asking them those questions. And I'm happy to have us do that. Because I honestly don't know. And maybe it's something where, like you said, they might say, oh no, this would be really beneficial. If you condition it as XYZ, we'll see that as a net positive, and we can try to trade that off with something else. Happy to at least reach out and find out.
Well, and I don't mind reaching out myself too and sending them, what I think would be a possible mitigation plan and get feedback from them.
I mean, I would completely consider it. Again, it's very difficult as to what our bylaws say now and what we legally can or can't allow without showing honest mitigation, all right. I think that's basically what I had for initial questions. I see, Scott, you've got a question. Do you mind holding it for now? I just want to see if there's other questions from commission members first. So let me ask that. Other members of the commission have any initial thoughts, comments, or questions?
Yeah, Brian, I do. So, understanding where the homeowners are coming from, they're trying to build an ADU for sounds like a parent or parents. I completely understand that, and I would almost be okay with the ADU, just that part going in, with the front porch and the back deck, if we can figure out some sort of mitigation plan. But the proposed pool house in the back is honestly enormous. And I just can't see, again, like we're impacting the buffer zone, introducing impervious surface to the area. I just can't see how we would okay that. So that's my initial thoughts there.
I would be okay getting rid of the pool house and just incorporating that into my basement.
Okay.
Yeah,
if we can figure out some sort of, if it was like mitigation of invasive species, obviously we need natural heritage to weigh in on that, but then I could kind of understand it. Like I could go with the ADU there.
Okay. Other comments, questions, thoughts from members of the commission? Not seeing any right now. Margaret, can I ask, did we get anything? Sorry, I talked to our conservation agent. Specific to climate resilience and the 500-year FEMA flood elevations. I believe it's our current bylaw is 2.05. I had asked her to send me an email on 2.05E of the Bolton bylaws. I believe it asks for study on I believe it's climate resilience in regards to a 500-year the FEMA flood elevations was the one I think last thing she was looking for.
Let me look into that, okay?
Okay. I was going to say, I will, if nothing else, and Lauren, if you're still listening, could we at least send Margaret that specific bylaw?
Yes, I can send that to her.
Really
Yeah,
appreciate that.
Yeah, I have a whole copy of the bylaw. So, and I've been through the whole thing, and it is pretty extensive. So let me just, take another look at that 500-year, the flood climate resilience section, okay?
Yeah.
And then this will give me an opportunity to regroup with the gears and talk about the pool house and possibly send a natural heritage a plan to see if they're on board with what we're proposing.
That would be excellent. All right. So let me ask you, are there members of the public that have questions? And I saw Scott Gear had his hand up.
He did. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead, Scott, please.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. I just want to get clarification. We're throwing the word mitigation around a lot, but I don't think we're clearly defining what we're seeking to mitigate. So can I get clarification on when we say that we need to mitigate?
Yeah, so there shall be no increase in impervious surface in the aura, the adjacent upland resource area. So basically it says you can't have any more pervious surface basically everywhere you're trying to build something here, right? So to mitigate would
even
be
though
to
we're
say,
outside
look,
of the buffer zone in the area that we're
Right.
looking at?
What's that?
Even though we're outside of the buffer zone in the area that we're looking at for the extension.
No, it's in the buffer zone, right?
It's all in the
buffer.
aura. It's the adjacent upland resource area, and it's all in the aura, coming off the waterways and with the buffer. So the buffer zone is aura basically. This
And
is
buffer
coming
zone
off the
is-
30-foot no touch. And that's why I was saying originally, like I think regardless of what that stream, I always say on the right-hand side of the screen, if it's considered a perennial or if it's considered an intermittent, the offsets are still enough that basically everything is going to be within aura. So that's what we mean with mitigation. That if we're putting any new pervious surface in resource area, that somehow we're taking a take back for that. Either some area that was pervious in the past, they're going to make impervious, or somehow. And in this case, what we're looking at is perhaps it's improvements with native species, invasive species management, right? So perhaps, yes, we're losing some pervious surface in the aura, but we also have a dedicated invasive species management program going on that makes up for or mitigates for that loss of resource area. Does that make sense?
So I'm going to have to dig into the rules, because I'm going to say it doesn't, and it doesn't, Brian, because
okay.
at the end of the day, we still have to live here.
Yep.
The house is built. Well, the extension that, putting the pool aside, the extension that we're seeking to build for Marilyn's elderly grandfather is within the original box, and to my understanding, is still outside the range, the minimum range from the perennial stream, the intermittent stream, right?
Yeah.
So I guess.
So
I'm just trying to understand I know Bolton extends that further than the state extends it, and then it sounds like the commission's extending it even further than what the city's extending it, and that's what I'm just trying to get clarification.
All right. So yeah, to be clear, like the commission, we go off bylaws that have been voted on by the full town, right? Everything is done via town vote. And that's why I was saying it's difficult for me. These aren't rules that we made up about the aura. This was rules that were voted on at a town meeting. And they hold true for everyone. They need to hold true for everyone, basically. And that's why I said I look to mitigation. And I'm so sorry. I've like forgot your initial question as to the initial house box is one thing that it was there, but again, this just comes down to the law that this is a new filing. It's done under current conditions, under current laws. So we can't go back to what was permitted, 5 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. I know that's not true in this house's case, but it's current conditions when the filing is, and it's done under the current law of the town, which extends those buffer zones to the extent that 90% of this was in resource area anyways. The current ones, extend that area a little bit more, but the bylaws were also changed that we have included certain things like there shall be no increase in impervious surface in the aura. some of these things weren't as set in stone before, but they are now. And that's kind of why when I said like we kind of have to follow that, or we need to give really good reason why we're not. And again, it's not so much the commission's choice. Like this is the town's law, what the town voted on, and we only have so much leeway as to how we can exempt the town's laws. And again, mitigation's one way.
Brian,
I hope that's a little less confusing. I'm so sorry. I'm not the best explainer of these things usually.
Brian, can I just
Sue, please go ahead.
say something else as well? Like, so on this plan, we're seeing the 30-foot no disturb zone, which is coming off the edge of the wetlands, and then a 50-foot buffer. But we also have a 100-foot buffer that's not on this plan that Scott's maybe not aware of. And that's what we're talking about
yeah.
when we're talking about the aura.
Thank you.
There's such an overlap when I put in the that 100-foot
Totally
buffer
understand
zone. It's pretty much the whole lot's in the 100-foot buffer
Oh,
zone.
yeah. I
Yeah.
totally understand why it's not maybe listed, but just as a clarification. Also, Margaret, thank you so much for making everything color coded. It's make reading this plan so much easier.
It's
I
technically
appreciate-
in our bylaws.
I appreciate hearing that because that's one of the reasons I do that. It is much easier to get a visual than just all black and white. I agree 100%.
Absolutely.
I think it's actually in our bylaws, Sue, that and again, we haven't been big in enforcing it. And I am also, again, I really appreciate, Margaret, that you did it, but I think it's actually in our bylaws that they need to mark certain things need to be colored certain ways on plans that are submitted.
Yeah.
And with some of those like gigantic black and white plans, like I think we should probably start enforcing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions or comments from members of the public?
I think
Yes,
Marilyn
me.
has a question.
Oh, Marilyn, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
So you brought up the town. Do I have to bring this before the town for a town vote?
No,
If I need an exemption, because you said that the town voted on this law. So then do
Right.
I need to put some sort of petition forward in order to have the town vote for me to do this? Because I'm trying to bring a human face to this, because there is a
Yep.
human face to this. There is an elderly man who is falling that needs to be moved. And I'm the only person in my family, unfortunately, who has the means. So that is like my one and only thing. So I'm trying to figure out like what do I need to do before he falls, breaks a hips, and then we have like now we have more serious issues than what I'm already dealing with.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't want to say in case I'm wrong, but this would be jurisdictional to us, basically for us to kind of oversee how the law is carried out as when it comes to conservation. And then there are avenues in place. Like, again, you can appeal our decision to DEP. I think you can appeal our decision and DEP's decision to courts. As far as asking the town to vote on some sort of exemption, I honestly don't know the answer to that. So I don't want to say one way or the other. I would say I would contact Town Hall and ask them. Hopefully somebody there could explain stuff much better than I can, but I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I'm not sure any other commission members know offhand, or Lauren, do you know offhand? Sorry.
No, I don't know offhand. That might be a good question to speak with the town clerk about, I would think.
I would hope she would have. Yeah, and again, I just don't know, Marilyn. I'm sorry. Other questions or comments? Members of the public. All right. So it sounds like going forward, Margaret, you're going to reach out to Natural Heritage. Lauren,
Yep.
I'm going to ask you if you don't mind reaching around to some of the other commissions to see if anybody has done anything like this before, or if they can give us good examples of how they incorporated that. If that makes some sense.
In terms of reaching out.
Yeah, that has done like ongoing invasive management as a mitigation strategy. Yeah, and basically what they found, if they examples, I guess, of other towns that have used it, I would love to find.
Sure.
And Margaret, I guess, yeah, you're going to look into the 500-year floodplain, and you're
Yeah.
going to reach out to Natural Heritage as well.
Yeah, and then I will talk with the applicants too, and regarding the pool house, and if we need to revise the plans or anything like that.
Okay. All right. In that case, if it is all right with you, we'll continue until our next meeting.
Brian, can I ask
Go ahead.
one more question?
Please.
Sorry, just in regards to the ADU and trying to get that. Is there any possibility, in Scott and Maryland, maybe you've looked into this? Is there any possibility of building up on your house? Like, I just don't know your property, so I don't know that answer.
Both me and Scott are disabled veterans, and so building up on the house would not be more helpful to us, because we were not looking for a house with 2 floors to begin with, because we moved here from Virginia. This was the only house that was available in the time span that we were moving. So the answer to that would be no, I wouldn't move, because this is the house that we're supposed to retire in, and already we're gonna have to put a stair, like a little chair to go up and down eventually. So
Yeah, and
initially-
the issue with the grandfather too is that adding that 3rd floor up is now there's the way the house is set up, there's no way to put a room on the 1st floor, which is part of the issue.
Okay, just
and then we initially had looked at we initially were looking the route of an ADU, but we ended up going with the extension because we were trying to not add a full kitchen, right? So the extension would just make it a kitchenette and would still keep him in with us as far as like cooking. An ADU forces us to actually put an actual kitchen in.
Gotcha. Okay. Just curious, just asking questions.
No, it's okay. I'm just emotional because I work in healthcare and I had him robocall me like 20 times today when I was with patients. So
Completely
I'm already
understandable.
agitated.
Okay. Completely understandable. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? All right. Gonna make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 433 Still River Road until our next public meeting, Tuesday, November 4th at 7:10 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
So, Lauren, I'm trying to see who is here. Was Lori able to join us?
Sorry, I'm on mute.
No.
Lori got back to me. She is not able to join tonight.
Okay. So for members of the public, what we are trying to figure out as a commission is our next public hearing that is scheduled actually concerns the property of one of the commission members. Thereby, they would need to recuse themselves from the hearing. Right. Yeah. Or not so much abstain from the vote. They would need to recuse themselves from the hearing, which then leaves us without a quorum to open the public hearing. Or we were not sure if we had the right to open it, even though we had the quorum to open the meeting, and now that the meeting is open as an agenda item, if we could open it and discuss. Regardless, I don't think we would have enough people to vote on it, right? We would need we would have a
I think that's
majority-
right. We wouldn't have a quorum to vote to continue
right,
or to
right.
vote in any way, actually.
Yep. So as such, and I'm looking for other commission members buy-in here. I'm wondering if it makes sense for us to basically table it and not open it tonight. So I hate to have you wait 2 more weeks. But I
don't think you have a choice here, Brian.
I was going to say, I'm guessing, and I feel horrible if somebody was going to come along from town hall tomorrow and say, no, once you opened it, that's fine. but I think our best bet may just to be to table it for tonight and take it up again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, makes
All right.
sense.
All right, in that case, I am going to pass over this agenda item as we do not have a quorum necessarily to hear it. Oh, is Matt Morrow here currently?
Parcel D12.
Yes, I am, Mr. Chairman. I have another hearing. I am on
Oh, yeah,
I'm
8:15.
two-fisted on the computers. I'm just waiting.
At the end of the day, what we've got to figure out is.
So I've got a few minutes. I don't know if they're going to run over.
Do you want to attempt to discuss now, or do you want us to try to get through the rest of our
So
I
the
was
range of
gonna
those
say, the
options,
rest of our
let's say.
agenda, but I don't think we have a
75
lot still.
regulatory option.
I have about 2 minutes before I go on.
Why don't we hold off for now then? Why don't you go on? And if you are able to come back, just check back in if you're able to get back in here. But I'd hate to start and then just lose you right away.
No, I understand. I'll be right back. Thank you for your patience.
All right. No problem. We have other agenda items. Good luck with your other hearing.
Thank you.
All right. All right. All right. I guess next up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will will discuss the request for a certificate of compliance for 137 Green Road, DEP file number 112-7738. If commission members remember, this was a culvert replacement from last time. To say, I think Ryan Proctor's here from Dillis and Roy. Ryan, do you want to well, I was going to say, or Lauren, do you want to share your screen, Lauren, with the most recent photos from the site?
Sure. 1 minute.
And so as she pulls that up, last time this came before us, the partial request was, and well, partial the reason why it came before us, it was the applicant wanted to remove the erosion controls that were in place, which had gotten to the point where they were not actively helping the situation, possibly hurting it, to allow the regrowth. The stabilization was there. And Lauren's going to pull this up.
I'll first pull up the new photos that Ryan had forwarded to me. This is from October 9th. We initially continued this or closed out his request, but he's going forward with the request because when he went to go back, it was revegetated here. I did go and check out the site last week on the 16th, and Ryan has since removed the erosion controls. It's just taking a minute to load. Scroll up here. Okay. So as you can see, the grass is growing in here. This is the area that the erosion controls were in. Now it's removed. So there is a little bit of exposed soil. So I'll just go through. I think that's the last of it.
Yeah. So I guess the applicants are looking for the full certificate of compliance. One of the reasons I would give pause that is I think in the original orders it called for 2 growing seasons. Sometimes if it looks like everything's grown in and established, we can kind of look past that. This is one that I had a chance to discuss with our conservation agent too. We were both interested in kind of this, I'll call it scarring, that from when the erosion controls were taken out, some of that kind of exposed dirt area. Her recommendation was to suggest that, the applicant possibly reseed it. But for now that we should stick with the 2 growing seasons to ensure that area, that kind of dirt area there, Ryan, that we're seeing in these pictures from where the erosion controls came out, that it does establish, and that it doesn't kind of slough off down into the stream channel. She suggested possibly trying to reseed it or, straw it, or at least to let it naturalize for the two full growing seasons, or at least one more growing season on top of this, to see if it's fully greened in that area. And just looking at the photos, unfortunately I was not out on the site visit, but looking at the photos, I kind of tend to agree with that one. It seems clear that those areas really need to revegetate. So again, like I'd be fine with a partial COC, but I think I personally would want to wait for the second growing season. But let me open it up to commission members. Are there any additional comments, questions, or thoughts regarding this particular hearing?
No, I agree, Brian. I think it needs more time.
So Ryan, if you wanted to put in for the partial, I think you've checked all the boxes to have the partial approved. Can't speak for other commission members, but when it comes to how this one stands right now, I think I at least would be voting for to stick with the two full growing seasons before issuing a full certificate of compliance.
That's fine, Brian. I don't think we object to that.
Okay.
The GRASA was established. We had submitted our COC and then resubmitted immediately after. The GRASA did grow in there, naturally vegetated within 2 weeks. So I'm optimistic that this will naturally revegetate also. But be that as it may, we have no problem rescinding and coming back when it's fully established.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. It looks like Matt Morrow jumped back in. Matt, are you here?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay, I'm still waiting to get onto that other meeting. I've got their closed caption on so I can watch. It looks like there's a hearing that's dragging on. So essentially, I want to talk to you guys about, I did meet some commissioners out on site. We noted that the rock that's on the site was new. We noted that the retaining wall had been replaced. We noted that some of the entrance culverts going in are covered. So what I am doing is I have an engineer that is actually a civil engineer, Christopher Stoddard, who's somebody I work with who's out of Royalston. He's going to be coming in, doing survey locations, getting the culverts located. We'll get the wetlands located. We'll get the pond shot. We'll come in with a notice of intent for the wall construction, a waiver request, and a request to do some restorative plantings around the pond.
Okay.
My client has agreed to that. This is something that Chris and I have done before. We actually just completed a case in Hopkinton where, for some reason, the commission actually did a certificate of compliance on an area that was filled and not replicated. So my client came in for a new NOI after he bought the house. So Chris and I did a plan for restoration. So we're experienced in doing this stuff. And that's basically it. So we are going to get an engineer plan out. We're going to get everything shot and we'll have everything located for you guys.
Excellent. Lauren.
Yes.
Do you remember what our options would be? Because it sounds like basically you're going to submit an NOI that would cover anything that would need to be covered in the enforcement order as well, Matt?
That's correct.
Right. So, Lauren, for us to basically agree to that and say, yes, that's how we want to proceed, do you know what our best option is?
Well, it's my understanding that the commission had a couple options. Whether or not I think what we had put in the agenda is whether or not the commission wants to pursue an enforcement order and incorporate the restoration plan within a notice of intent through the enforcement order, or a restoration plan alone through the enforcement order and then have a notice of intent filed separately without it being required through the enforcement order. Does that make sense?
I think it does. Matt, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, however you guys want to do it is fine by me. I'm just going to make sure it happens.
In theory, Lauren, am I getting this right? In theory, we could vote to issue an enforcement order that requires an NOI.
Yes, the restoration plan within a notice of intent through the issuance of the enforcement order.
So yeah, so it would be issuing an order, an enforcement order, for the, oh gosh, sorry, yeah, it's not repair. What am restoration, right? So we're
yes.
issuing an enforcement order for the restoration plan at whatever 30 North Road, and requiring an NOI be filed with that restoration plan as as part of this enforcement order. I just want to make sure I word it
Yes.
correct.
Yeah, I'm thinking because so there's two things happening, right? We have the restoration work that would need to be done around the pond area, and then the work for the wall falls within jurisdictional area too. So the NOI would be not only for the restoration plan, but incorporating the other work that had been done. So as an after the fact NOI.
Gotcha.
So there's two parts to it. I think it's just a matter of whether or not the restoration plan is on its own within the enforcement order, or if the commission is okay with saying we will allow for the restoration plan to be incorporated into the notice of intent.
Yeah.
But putting that in the enforcement order. I know that
Yes.
sounds confusing.
No, I get it. I'm trying to figure out the best way to word it, and I should put it out there to other commission members too. Does everybody kind of understand that what kind of the options are, and what Matt's looking to do is the restoration plan as part of the larger NOI, which I myself am comfortable with if that's the way they want to go with it. It seems to make sense to me. Are other commission members comfortable with that? Do we understand generally what we're trying to do?
Yeah, I guess, sorry, go ahead, Sue.
No, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
I just wanted to, I keep on hearing NOI in the wall, right? It's not just a wall, right? It's 4 walls, right? It's around the entire pond. So I want to make sure that that's clear.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Jim. Yes, I was referring to the wall along the road that had been redone.
I see. Okay. Yes. So yeah, there's lots of walls here, right?
Yeah.
I was just
So
saying,
yes,
it's
so
an interesting
thank you.
property. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, thank you, Lauren. So yes, so
Yeah.
it's the wall at the road and also the 4 walls around the pond.
Yeah.
Right. Because I know Matt was referring to one wall when we were talking about the pond, and it's not one wall in the pond, it's all 4 sides of the pond.
Okay, so to clarify, pardon the interruption, Commissioner, what I was referring
Go
to
ahead, please,
was
Matt.
the fact we had the wooden pressure treated wall that was removed, and we have the wall along the street, and then we have the 3 walls around the pond. All of that will be located, including the culverts, which on site was discovered that some of them were covered. So
Yep.
part of the NOI and the restoration needs to re-uncover those. In addition to the other restorative work. So yeah, I am fully aware of the differences. So I appreciate the clarifications for the record. I think that's important. And I also think putting it all into one order of conditions would be, you'd rather have just one base document that everybody has an understanding and can regulate from, rather than a bunch of documents flying around.
Yeah, and I was gonna say not in every case, but in this case, I would tend to agree. But I'm just curious if other commission members are comfortable with that as well. Having the NOI and the enforcement order be folded in together.
I'm okay with whatever is the easiest, as long as it's clear that there is an enforcement order in place here.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of things done incorrectly without permission. And that needs to be clarified. So I don't want this to look like an NOI that didn't have an enforcement order included.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think we would be issuing it as an enforcement order, and as part of the enforcement order, requiring an NOI for restoration
Yeah.
and any other projects ongoing on the property.
Okay.
Which
And it would
that's
be
how
put
I
in
should
the
phrase it. Yeah,
It would be put in the NOI narrative that this is an after the fact filing. So it will be made clear in all the documentation.
Okay.
Lauren,
Yes.
do we normally set a timeline if it's an enforcement order requiring that an NOI be submitted for restoration within X weeks. Do we normally do it that way? know
I don't
this-
have too much experience
Okay.
with orders, but I know the last one we did, I want to say that it's a month out from when the enforcement order is issued. So I don't know if that's a regulation, if that's through our bylaws or WPA, but I know in the past we've done by this date, a month out, we should have received an application
All right.
or a plan.
Matt, if we were to put a month timeline on the enforcement, a month timeline to receive an NOI with a restoration plan, does that give you an appropriate amount of time?
Yeah, I am. It's really not a lot of heavy lift to do the survey, the shooting, and the locating. It's something that the guy I'm working with can do pretty readily. And mobilize. It's going to be me. I got to start writing all the restorative action documents based on your enforcement order. So if you can, when you guys issue it, or Lauren, just email it to me, so that I have it right away, so I can get right to work on the scope based on what you guys decide.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So in general, people comfortable with that, including NOI into the enforcement order? Going forward with the one. Okay. Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? Or this particular discussion, I should say. Seeing none. All right. I'm going to call for a roll call vote to issue an enforcement order for 30 Norse Road. An enforcement order that requires the filing of an NOI within 30 days that covers the full restoration and any other projects proposed for the property.
Brian, when we talk about full restoration, what are we talking about?
A restoration plan, basically.
Well, so
Go ahead.
I guess a better question would be, Matt Morrow has kind of suggested that like restoration might be adding plantings along the pond, but I mean, in our site visit, that pond has been fundamentally changed because there's now walls where there used to be a slope. So I guess I'm wondering, at what point do we discuss what really needs to be done to that pond to make it a pond again? To make it a usable space for the wildlife in the area.
It's a good question. It's difficult because it's one where basically we're telling them, that it's an enforcement that this was not done correctly. You need to basically fix it, and then it's incumbent upon them to come up with a plan. It's not some plan that we necessarily craft or can push too far one way or another. When they come back with that plan, because again, it will come before as an NOI, and with a restoration plan, I think that's a more than appropriate time to ask those questions. To say, I don't think this is restoring or bringing it back to the condition it was supposed to be in, or I don't think it mitigates the situation enough.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. Did I get the full vote out? I don't know. All right. I'm going to call. Let me try it again because this is hard for me to say. I'm going to call for a roll call vote to issue an enforcement order for 30 Norse Road. The enforcement order to include the filing of an NOI with full restoration plan and any other proposed changes to the property within 30 days of us issuing the enforcement order. All those in favor, please say aye. Starting with Paul.
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, Matt. Yeah, good luck at your other hearing.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you soon.
All right, take care. All right. Okay. Lauren, up next, we are not discussing a land donation tonight, are we?
No, not
That was not
tonight.
yet. Make the final
Next up
agenda.
was the request for a certificate of compliance for 285 Still River Road.
Perfect. I had notes here.
And I don't
Uh,
see the applicant or the representative here with us tonight, but I can show, I'll share my screen with some of the
Please.
photos from the other day. Okay. So if everyone on the commission remembers, this was a replacement of a septic system in this portion of the lawn. There was a tree that needed to be removed that was kind of near this post over here. And they, as a replacement, planted 2 additional plants. There's an arborvitae, and I think it's a small maple tree over here. So I'll just scroll down through. So on site, there's towards the erosion controls, there's still some soil that's exposed, and there were a few other kind of holes in the ground. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there's one here. And I think there was some more toward the top section here, but it's hard to see right over here in this area. Yep.
So I had a chance to talk with Rebecca about this today too, and we had the same question, that kind of gully that you see right there and some of the exposed dirt. I guess the question came up, are we still within the 2 growing seasons? And I think we are, from when this project was done. She had recommended that if anything, it would be a partial COC. Everything else, again, they checked all the boxes. Her one concern was just the erosion that seems to kind of be going on here, and that some of it was still exposed dirt, some of the holes that she kind of wanted to see that go through the growing seasons as well. I tend to go with her expertise on this one too. I can see some of it in the photos, but it's kind of where it lives. And I'm sorry to stutter. Lauren,
Yes.
do you know offhand? I love throwing these questions at you. I know you're excited. If the applicant's not here tonight, do we have the ability to issue a partial COC if it wasn't requested?
So that was actually my question too, because going back to the previous hearing with Ryan, I was under the impression that in the past we were able to issue the partial COC during the same period of time that they were requesting a full COC, because I might just want to pull up the form, because I think it's the same form, it's just a different checkbox of whether or not you're issuing a partial with ongoing conditions or a full. So I believe a partial can be issued tonight. But I think I want to just double check that.
I was to say that, but I know we've done it in the past, and again, whether requested or not, with the ongoing conditions. I know we've been able to do that with some like actual COCs. The only thing that throws me is this necessarily wouldn't be an ongoing condition. It would be more of a, once you get through your second growing season, you show that it's reestablished. You get the full sign off.
Yep.
That's
true. So it wouldn't
hate to do that without the applicant. I'm sure they'd prefer it get closed out than ongoing. Depending if they had to wait.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can reach out to them tomorrow if the commission decides to table this and see if they want to go forward with a partial or just come back another time.
And let me put it out first to other commission members, just to get your thoughts on this as well. Strong feelings one way or the other.
Well, I think a partial is the right answer. So it's just, to me, a procedural thing at this point.
All right. In that case, Lauren, I would say if you could reach out to them tomorrow and see if
Okay.
they would want us to reconsider it for, I don't think we were comfortable doing the full COC tonight, but reach out to them if they want to submit for a partial, that
Okay.
we would be more than happy to consider it. Or again, if they want to wait if they're able to wait until the next growing season.
Sure.
I wonder if it's a question of them wanting to remove erosion controls again, which would, as we had with the other one, I think usually it says you have to wait till you get the certificate of compliance. I'm not sure if it does though, if it says, because it's not always the COC with removing the erosion controls, is it?
Well,
The
Well,
house
in-
is up for
in our-
sale. That's why they want it.
yes.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, they want it signed off on and done.
In discussions with the agent this morning too, I think she had mentioned, if erosion controls were removed, potentially just leaving, a wattle in this area here.
Yep.
So I think that might be an option for the commission to consider, leaving a portion of the erosion controls.
Yeah, could we do like a roll call vote to say we're not going to be issuing a certificate of compliance tonight, but a roll call vote to allow DEP file number, whatever it is, to partially remove erosion controls, leaving straw wattles in place if they want to. Would that make sense?
I think that's something the commission has done in the past, so I don't see
Right.
why not.
Because that way, if we've and we could, don't not say that they need to remove the erosion controls, but to give them that option.
Mhm.
That to do a roll call vote saying that, if, again, we'll put it to the commission again, but that that in theory that we're comfortable with them removing some of the erosion controls if they leaving the straw wattles in place and removing additional erosion controls behind them. Because again, I don't think it looks like it's a mass. I think that wattle can handle any type of runoff that's coming off of that right now. And again, it might help it to naturalize better, getting rid of some of that black plastic and some of those things out of there. So commission members comfortable with that? Thoughts? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I do not believe, I think we're going to table the request for certificate of compliance tonight for 285 Still River Road. But Lauren, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to them to ask them our lovely questions. But I would like to call for a roll call vote to allow I'd like to call for a roll call vote for the commission to allow 285 Still River Road DEP file number 112-758 to remove a portion of their erosion controls for this project if they choose to do so, while leaving the straw wattles in place. All those in favor of this, please say aye, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Jim,
I,
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. Next up this evening is a request for a certificate of compliance for the Bowers Springs Conservation Area off Flanagan Road. DEP file number 112-0750. All right. The work has been completed. It is up to they did the fill and brought in the areas that everything that was proposed to do. I believe Rebecca's been out there. I know Lauren, you've been out there. They were comfortable with issuing a certificate of compliance. But as we've discussed before surrounding the bench, there is a chance for us to put on ongoing conditions along with this certificate of compliance. If you look in your packets, you will see the proposed ongoing conditions. I am going to go. So when if we move to issue a certificate of compliance with ongoing conditions, I will actually read them all out. But are people comfortable? Do you want some time to look through them in the folder? Comfortable with them as they were drafted? I think Rebecca actually drafted them, or did she work with you, Lauren, on that? Basically, based off some of the other stuff we had found.
So the findings that you're referring to in the annotated agenda, those are pulled directly from the order of conditions. So, so the additional wording, I think, would just mention something along ongoing annual or biannual maintenance, commensurate with the findings issued in the original order of conditions, which state, and then all of those would be listed.
You're gonna have to deal with me for 10 minutes. Yeah. Are commission members comfortable with that, issuing a certificate of compliance for this with the ongoing conditions that I will read out? And again, we'll vote after I read them all out, but okay. Just wanted to save me the pain of doing this. All right. So I'm going to call for a roll call vote to issue a certificate of compliance for the Bower Springs Conservation Area DEP file number 112-0750 with the following ongoing annual or with the following ongoing conditions. That ongoing annual or biannual maintenance shall be commensurate with the findings issued in the original OOC order of conditions, stating this project is a limited project under 310 CMR 10.51-10.60 due to its beach-like characteristics. The conservation agent shall post notifications on the town-approved websites and or properties at least 7 days prior to the commencement of work. Resource areas and their impact shall be as follows: 5-foot bank, 95-foot beach, 100 square feet buffer, 500 square feet adjacent upland resource area, 100 feet prohibition area, and 25 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland. Bordering land subject to flooding alteration shall be avoided at maximum extent practicable. 1 foot from adjacent bank location is the maximum lateral extent of observed water. Therefore, prior to the commencement of work, the agent shall mark off with the contracted party 1 foot from the bank to confirm the limit of work on site. Sand shall be added at a maximum quantity of 4 cubic yards over the existing sand area outside of the bordering land subject to flooding aforementioned. Loam shall be added at a maximum quantity of 2 cubic yards adjacent to the sand area and trail edge. Surplus material from the aforementioned quantity shall be placed on site within the upland away from the pond and wetland areas location to be determined by the conservation agent prior to placing material. Jute netting and wattle shall be utilized on site. Final stabilization shall take place through the use of New England Wetland Plants Inc. seed mix appropriate to the existing site conditions and habitat. And last, snow fencing shall be in place for visibility and deterrence of utilizing work area during the 2 growing seasons required for full stabilization. All those in favor of issuing said COC with those conditions, please say aye, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Sue.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
Brian, can I ask you a quick question?
Please
on
go ahead,
that
Jim.
one? Which one of those bullet points that you read addresses the bench?
I think that is the ongoing annual or biannual maintenance commensurate with the findings, and that's it. Yeah, as part of that, we read in that the loam shall be added at the maximum quantity adjacent to the sand area and trail edge. So that allows us the addition of loam to be part of the ongoing conditions. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
That was my understanding. I hope we have voted that correctly. 715 Main Street, we discussed earlier. Again, that plan just came in this afternoon. I didn't have a chance to look at it at all today. So we're going to be tabling that until our next meeting because we were just missing information. Already discussed 30 Norse. In our packets are the minutes for our October 7th, 2025 meeting. Commission members, any edits, corrections, or changes to the 10/7/25 minutes? And if not, does anybody need more time to look through the 10/7/2025 minutes? Seeing none. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the minutes for our October 7th, 2025 meeting as drafted and submitted at this evening's meeting. Do I hear a second for minutes?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think I have any real updates on conservation of the Forest Legacy Program. There is movement on some areas, but nothing to really get into detail with. Our volunteer land steward position is still available. I think that is everything we have this evening. Lauren, did I miss anything? Anything I am forgetting?
Nope. I just want to mention that for the enforcement order updates, there are no other official updates for everything else that's listed. So I just wanted to put that on the record. But everything else, I think we covered.
Okay. Commission members have any new business or anything they would like to see added to next month's agenda or next week's agenda, 2 weeks agenda, our next agenda? Seeing none, I'm going to hereby make a motion that we adjourn our October 21st, 2025 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second for adjourning?
Second.
Didn't think anybody wanted to tonight. All those in favor, starting with, please say aye, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Sue.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all. See you soon.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Yeah. Good night.